Jeffrey Lamar Williams II, aka Young Thug, born August 16, 1991. For nearly a decade, Young Thug was one of the most influential and polarizing voices in hip-hop. His voice bent in ways that shouldn't have worked but somehow did. His fashion blurred gender norms, his slang, melodies, and unpredictable delivery helped shift the sound of Atlanta and by extension the entire rap industry. Whether you loved him or hated him, you couldn't deny that he was a cultural force. He made stars out of those around him, carried a loyal cult fan base, and turned YSL into one of rap's most prominent movements. To many, Thug wasn't just making music, he was changing it. But the story of Young Thug in 2025 is a very different one. Fresh out of prison, his name is back in headlines, yet not for the reasons you would expect. His latest releases have been met with a lukewarm reception, a dangerous sign for an artist who once dictated the culture. The internet isn't praising his music anymore. The snippets don't trend, the singles don't stick, and the hype that once carried him feels like it disappeared. Momentum in music is everything, and right now, Thug doesn't have it. But a bigger issue that makes things worse than that, the streets are now whispering something much louder than his music. That Young Thug might be guilty of the very thing he once condemned others for. When an old interrogation clip resurfaced, fans were quick to connect the dots, painting him with the same brush he used to target Gunna and others. Whether it's fair or not, perception is reality, and for a street rapper, being accused of snitching is the ultimate career death sentence. What makes this moment so heavy is the irony. Young Thug built his identity on defying rules and breaking barriers, but he also drew hard lines when it came to loyalty and the code of the streets. Now those same codes are circling back on him. Respectfully, he's accomplished too much to erase his legacy. His influence is stamped permanently in rap's DNA, but right now, with uninspired music, fractured credibility, and accusations he can't seem to shake, it feels like the curtain is closing. For one of Atlanta's most fearless innovators, this might be the end of an era no one saw coming for Young Thug. What happened? Let's talk about it. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth Music. Let's get it.
But he said you told him to do that.
Man, watch out.
Man, oh God, that's what he telling the street.
Man, oh God, he kept. On that same God, he kept. Man, he come in for a nigga to take a plea and say a lie.
Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. Jeffrey Williams, better known as Young Thug, is a rapper from Atlanta, Georgia, who rose from Zone 3 into worldwide fame. By the early 2010s, he had Atlanta buzzing with breakout singles like Stoner and Danny Glover, songs that showed off his eccentric delivery and unpredictable style. In 2015, his controversial Barter 6 project solidified him as one of rap's most daring new figures, unafraid to challenge tradition while building his YSL crew around him. Through projects like Jeffrey and Beautiful Thugger Girls, he expanded the boundaries of trap, mixing melodies, odd cadences, and fashion choices that blur gender norms. His influence helped shape stars like Gunna, Lil Baby, and others, while his own career reached the top, with a Grammy for This Is America and a Billboard #1 album, Slime Language 2. By the late 2010s, Young Thug was considered one of the most important artists of his generation. Stunt number 1, the music isn't sticking. The first and most obvious sign of Young Thug's decline has been the response to his music since returning from prison. For years, Thug was a walking trendsetter. Every snippet went viral, every leaked verse was dissected, and fans treated his releases like cultural events. But since regaining his freedom, that magic has noticeably faded. The singles he's dropped haven't created the spark expected from an artist once considered Atlanta's heartbeat. Instead of dominating timelines, the songs have come and gone with little replay value, little impact, and almost no lasting conversation. What makes things more glaring is the contrast. While Thug struggles to find his footing, many of his peers and proteges are still thriving. Gunna, the very artist Thug seemed to exile with harsh words during the snitching controversy, has rebounded musically and found his lane again. Lil Baby remains a star. Even younger Atlanta voices are stepping up to fill the void. Meanwhile, Thug's post-prison output has been met with lukewarm energy. Not hate, but indifference, a much worse fate for a rapper who once dictated the sound of a generation. Momentum in music is delicate. It takes years to build and only a short time to lose. Thug's absence during the height of the YSL trial created a gap that no feature or surprise drop has been able to close. The industry moved on, and by the time he returned, his sound felt less urgent. For an artist built on unpredictability, the new songs feel more like attempts to recapture old glory than break new ground, leaving fans disappointed. When the internet stops anticipating your next move, when fans stop demanding snippets and leaks, that's when you know the tide has shifted. And for Young Thug, the tide has clearly and perhaps permanently turned. Stunt number 2, the prison bid and its fallout. The second blow to Young Thug's career came from something no artist can control once it begins: time away. His arrest in 2022 under the sweeping YSL RICO indictment was one of the biggest stories in hip-hop, instantly halting his career at its peak. For an artist like Thug, whose power came from constant output and cultural presence, being removed from the scene was devastating. The industry never stops moving, and while he was locked away fighting for his freedom, rap kept evolving and embracing new stars. By the time he returned, the energy surrounding him had shifted dramatically. Incarceration isn't new in hip-hop. Many rappers have survived prison stints and even used them to fuel their music, especially street rappers. But for Thug, the length and timing of his absence stalled momentum in ways that couldn't be recaptured. The YSL trial wasn't just a personal battle, it overshadowed the music, changing how fans and outsiders viewed his brand. Instead of being celebrated for innovation, his name became tied to courtrooms, legal updates, and speculation about who might turn on who. When he finally walked out, the world was waiting with great excitement. He tried to pick up where he left off, but the music just wasn't the same, and rap had already crowned new stars. Gunna's comeback story, despite being surrounded by controversy, showed how quickly fans will move on if the music is strong enough. Thug, on the other hand, came back into a world where anticipation was high, but the public's focus was on the legal drama rather than his art. Still, prison didn't just take away from Thug, it took away the momentum that defined his run and the constant drip of influence that kept him relevant. In a genre built on relevance, momentum loss is almost impossible to fully regain.
Man, that was that what your ever get too, rocking with the motherfucking rat. And you be preaching about that shit too, man. You can't do that, man. Nigga a rat, bro. I understand all that. A nigga help put you on. Listen, man, that nigga is a rat. I don't give a what help. That nigga give me $1 million. Man, you a rat. Whatever you talking about.
Stunt number 3, the Snitch allegations. The final and most damaging blow to Young Thug's career is the resurfaced interrogation video that many believe shows him doing the very thing he once condemned: snitching. For years, Thug positioned himself as someone who lived and represented the street code, often casting harsh judgment on others accused of breaking it. Gunna became the biggest example, as Thug's camp distanced themselves from him after his plea deal, sparking endless debate online about loyalty and credibility. Thug never outright forgave those labeled as rats, reinforcing the idea that he was unwavering about the rules of the streets. Now that the clip of him mentioning his associate during questioning has gone viral, the hypocrisy is impossible to ignore. Whether or not his words technically qualify as snitching almost doesn't matter. What matters is how it looks. In hip-hop, and especially within street rap, perception is everything. Once fans decide your credibility is compromised, it becomes nearly impossible to repair your image. This allegation hit harder than a flopped album or even a prison sentence because it calls into question the foundation of his identity. A rapper can bounce back from bad sales or legal trouble, but being seen as disloyal to the code is cultural exile. And when it comes to Young Thug, it's made even worse because he helped normalize weaponizing the word snitch against others. Now that the same accusations circle back to him, it feels like a devastating checkmate, a fall he cannot out-rap, outdress, or outstyle his way through. For Thug, this isn't just another controversy, it's a career death sentence. He built his reputation on authenticity, loyalty, and fearlessness, and now all three are under question. The streets just don't forgive snitching, and this stain won't wash away. All in all, Young Thug's career feel like it has reached a breaking point. Unlike Gunna, who stayed quiet and let the music speak for him, Thug built his image on being the one that would never fold and the one too solid to ever compromise the code. He threw stones, called out others, and made it clear he stood above the accusations that ruined lesser reputations. That's why the recent revelation stings so much harder. To find out he bit the cheese after parading himself as untouchable is the ultimate betrayal to fans who believed in his code. For Thug, silence won't save him. Being quiet worked for Gunna because he never pretended to be more than what he was. But for the head honcho of YSL, that strategy falls flat. This feels like the grand closing of his career, leaving Atlanta looking more like the land of the rats than kings. Salute, much respect, but for these reasons, his growth is about to be stunted. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth Music, and I'm out.